So this is one of my landing places. These moments where I'm recording and sharing. On one hand, yes, I'm sharing to get things out. Something I process by talking things out. Another reason this space is important to me because I do think that there's something to be said for us sharing our stories with others. And in the sharing, there's something that happens that helps us to continue to grow and to continue to move forward, to conquer challenges. Um, but also in the sharing, others can be helped, encouraged, inspired as well. Um, Art, painting, a landing place, a place where I can just come and just be. This space is a place for me that I've been able to just come and just be. Um, and so that's important to me. And typically, where I record, I'm in my office slash studio. And if I were to do a panoramic view, you would see my pieces of art on the wall, books all around, um, quotes, verses, Bible verses, notes, reminders, encouragement. This is my landing place, and I thank God for it. Um, this particular recording I wanted to do because a notion was on my mind. I received a text from a friend with two different links, and one of the links was talking about when we are exhausted, sometimes it's because we're out of alignment. And that just later on in the day, as I was driving home from work, feeling exhausted and just feeling, I'll just stay with exhausted for now. And so one of the things that came to mind, I started thinking about a tire when we talk about a wheel alignment for a car. And so I got home and the nerd in me wanted to Google. Like, I know what happens when I know that I can feel when a car needs an alignment. You're driving on the road, it's a straight road, and if you take your hand off the steering wheel and it starts to move to the side and you can't turn it, you probably need a wheel alignment. But I still wanted to Google, and when I Googled, now they have an AI overview that populates when you put a question in before you even click on a specific link. And what it says when you put what causes a car to need a wheel alignment, it says wheel alignments become necessary due to various factors, including sudden impacts like hitting a pothole or a curb, minor accidents, and normal wear and tear of suspension components. And then when I actually clicked on one of the first website, which is Bridgestone Tires, and if they have a little article about what you need to know about wheel alignments. And first of all, they just talk about what is a tire alignment, what is a wheel alignment. And so even though we're saying wheel, referring to the tire, it's not really the tire that's been adjusted, but the adjustment it has to do with the vehicle's what they call suspensions. And that's the system that connects the vehicle to its wheels. So it's the system that has to be adjusted so that the tires can be positioned in a way that is best for the car's productivity, use, and longevity of use. And so I just thought that was interesting. And then they have some signs, some signals that you need a wheel alignment or a tire alignment, that you need that system to be adjusted. It says uneven tread of the tires, a vehicle pulling to the left or to the right, and that's how I knew. Your steering wheel being off center when driving straight. Sometimes you feel shaking or the steering, wheel vibrating. And so as I just think about the thought of alignment, it talks about that it could be caused from just regular wear and tear. We have different seasons in life, and in different seasons we have to pay attention to what's needed in that season. And as we live, our bodies go through different seasons. We go through different seasons as we live life, just the different experiences that come up in different seasons, different age brackets of life. But in addition to that, every now and then, sometimes we may hit a pothole. We may run into something that throws us off. We may be in a minor fender bender. So sometimes there are things that are colliding with our life that cause our system to be off. Sometimes we're just driving and the road that we're riding on has potholes in it. And sometimes we can drive around them, especially if there's enough time and we see them, but every now and then they catch us off guard and we may hit those potholes and they mess with our alignment. And sometimes just by the progression of life, the normal wear and tear, there are times when we need an alignment. And so I was just really thinking about that, because the thought that came up in my head while I was driving home was, I feel out of alignment. And when I was thinking of alignment, I was thinking like me as a system and being one with myself. And there are times when I'm not acting in congruency. My actions or my words are not congruent with the me that I am, the me that I aspire to be, the me that I feel like God created. And an example would be when I'm operating in people pleasing, or when I'm operating out of fear, whether that's holding back my full thought, or whether that's adjusting how I show up to appease or to keep things at ease. I'm pulling myself further and further out of alignment. My system is getting out of alignment because I am not congruent with who I am. I also thought about just the spaces, when you think about the spaces that we navigate, the tasks that we commit to and engage in. What happens when those spaces, or the nature of those spaces, the natural change that happens causes us over a period of time, or not causes us, but is shifts in a way where we no longer are in alignment. And I just feel like I'm in a place where I am recognized in a variety of areas where I feel like my system is off. There's not complete alignment. Exhaustion, as the woman who wrote the quote mentioned, as a signal, same as that shaking steer wheel or just veering to left, as a signal, an indicator that there may be something off with that the alignment may not be there. I just have become aware, more aware of areas where I need to slow down and really assess, so that I can position myself to come back into alignment with myself, that my systems are in alignment with how I am supposed to function in this season of my life, because then that extends the longevity of my impact, the impact that I'm supposed to have in the earth. It causes me to operate and function as the best version of myself when I'm in alignment with myself, when I'm in alignment with God's will for my life. And I'm not talking about necessarily operating from making decisions that are just way off, like a collision causing a car to need a wheel alignment. I'm not even talking about those big major clashes. But just those shifts, those slight shifts that are just impacting the whole system. And so I know that I'm in a place where I need to be thinking about what does a will alignment look like for me? What does coming back into alignment, what are the requirements for me to come back into alignment with myself so that I can function as my best self? What decisions do I have to make? What boundaries do I need to put in place and maintain? What yeses do I need to say? What noes do I need to say? Which changes in my responses need to happen? What changes in my behavior? What changes in my thought patterns? You know, if there's a road and we know that there's a pothole and it's not getting repaired, then we may need to plan a different course. What routes do I need to adjust so that I can keep myself in alignment with who I am and who I was created to be? So I'm still chewing on it, still processing. And I just wanted to record again because this is my landing place. It's one of the places that allows me to, my shoulders to drop, me to exhale. And I was going to say from the weight of this world, but I also think in this season, needing to exhale from traveling a road out of alignment. So as you track with me, as I'm documenting this journey, of a surrendered life, I'm hoping that you'll also be a witness to what it looks like to see a life, recognize from the signals, from the wheel shaking, from the slight shifting to the right or to the left, pull over, go into a shop, get a wheel alignment, and see the difference in how I travel, by me taking the time to pull over, to go to a shop. That shop is my quiet time. That shop is these landing places. That shop is conversations with people who I respect, who offer wisdom and insight, who are further along than I am, who can look at me with objective eyes and give suggestions, That shop is my prayer time. That shop is the Holy Spirit guiding me. And so my hope is that in this sharing that I am processing, when you see me further down the road, you'll also be able to witness what it looks like for someone to practice surrendering to the will of God. And in that surrendering, there's these cycles, these times when you come into awareness of shifts that have to take place to continue to surrender, to continue to be in alignment. And that's what this moment is for me. It's just a heightened awareness of the need to make some adjustments, to become more in alignment with who I am. And in those adjustments and in that alignment, be able to offer up an even better version of myself in this journey of a surrendered life, In this space of alignment, I also expect greater levels of joy and peace, and liberty and freedom, because there's a oneness, when I think about being in alignment. But anyway, that's all I've got for now. It's already 14 minutes and I've just kind of been talking. But so I look forward to what's to come as I listen for, seek out the steps, the actions, the rhythms, the practices that I need to have in place to get an alignment and then to maintain a healthy alignment with who I am. That's all I have.